Okay. So we had a very nice discussion. You shared, group 2 shared some very nice Japanese knife and giving 1001 or that one yen becomes so powerful. So thank you for sharing that. How about a group? How about group 4? What did you talk about? Products, norms, why? Group 4?
Yes, Professor. We shared about a national dress that is used in Kenya.
Yona, just give me a second. Let's go to the participants first.
Okay.
Then I'll invite you. Thank you. The participants, how about Nanaya, Kanako, Manaka, somebody, go ahead.
Yes.
Nanaya, go ahead. Yeah.
Black tie.
Black tie.
Yeah. Each colors in Japan represents for the meaning. So, for example, if you go to funeral, you have to put it with black tie. The value is black sometimes represents for the death. Yeah.
I see. Yeah, in Japanese funeral, everybody has to wear black dress and all that. Right. Thank you, Nanaya. Thank you. How about Kanako, Manaka? Do you want to add something?
I can understand. I can understand this, then I said, but this question is so different for difficult to me. So
yeah.
I can't say this answer.
In your group discussion, you heard, right? You heard the discussion? Do you remember any example?
I didn't say this question's answer.
You didn't say anything. Okay, that's okay. But you other group members said it, right? And you heard, right? How about Manaka, where are you? Manaka, you there?
Yes. I also didn't say anything.
Okay. Oh, that's okay. Let's go to Yona. You want to add something? Go ahead in your group discussion.
Yes, Professor. For me, we shared Nanaya-san and I shared some information. So I talked about my country where there is a national dress that is really embraced. It is a traditional regalia by a certain tribe called Maasai.
Maasai, right? Yeah.
It is a really colorful dress with very many different colors. So if anyone wears that dress, it's like a symbol of national unity for everyone. Because it represents all the colors of the flag.
Right.
And also across the continent, people like wearing colorful dresses. So it is a symbol of unity for the country and the continent.
Right. So in fact, national flags, national dress, these are very representative artifacts of a country, of a nation, of a culture. And it's very, whenever we go to another culture, or even your own culture, your national flag, what does it represent? What values, right? So colors, the flags, the colors and the design and all those things become very important. All right, thank you. Thank you. So thank you very much, everybody. So here is the thing. In a group discussion, you speak and you listen. So if you didn't say anything, even then, you are learning. You are learning by listening to others. The best balance is that you listen and then you speak. I mean, that's the best balance as much as possible. So only talking is not good, not helpful. Only listening may be limited. So try to balance both in learning experience, right? Okay, so but thank you for sharing that. Okay, so let's go back and I'm going to share screen again, and we will continue from there. Okay, and okay. All right, so we'll go to the next part now. So until now, we learned about culture and cross-cultural sensitivity means understanding, observing the norms and discovering the values and beliefs. That's what we have been talking about. Now, let's explore culture more deeply. And this is going to be I'm going to introduce something more challenging to understand because of the language. You will learn some very, very important words now. You may not understand them now completely. It's okay, but I'll make them as simple as possible. And then after the session, I will distribute, like tomorrow, when you come to the campus, Kobayashi-san will give you a copy of a PDF file that will explain what I'm going to introduce now, so you can read it again and again. So I'm going to introduce culture at a higher level now. So culture as an iceberg, for example, as an iceberg with norms, values, that's a very basic understanding of culture. Now, I'm going to introduce something more complex, more sophisticated. If you find it difficult now, it's okay, but you will gradually understand it after reading it later on. You can read more about it. But what I'm going to introduce you is something very, very important in cross-cultural communication. And so culture as as dilemma. Now, the word dilemma. Participants, have you heard this word? Raise your hand if you have heard this word, dilemma. Okay, all right. So Yukuto, tell us, what does it mean in your mind, dilemma?
When I'm in dilemma, I have a lot of choice.
Hmm.
Difficult choice or
Uh,
or well, good choice for me,
hmm.
and I have to choose.
Hmm.
When I have to choose, I feel I'm in dilemma.
Okay. Okay. So dilemma has to means making a choice. You have
Yes.
choices, they have to make a choice. And it's difficult to make the choice, right?
Yes.
Okay. Nanaya, what, how about you? What did you want to say?
I wanna do, but I can't do. I can do, but I don't wanna do. Like that.
So I can do something, I don't want to do it,
Mm,
right? It's also like choices, right? I can do, I don't
Yeah.
want to do. It's kind of difficult, right? Okay, okay. Let me see if anybody else raised hand. Anybody else? I'm looking at your screen. If I missed you, raise your hand. The meaning of dilemma. Okay. Okay. Let me give you an example. What Nanaya said, what Yukoto said is very good. Dilemma is making choice. So I go out. This is an example I want to give you. I go out with a friend. We want to have dinner, and there is a really very popular Indian restaurant with very delicious foods. And I want to go and have Indian foods. But my friend wants to have some Italian food, very delicious. Both Indian, delicious foods, Italian, delicious foods. But we have to make a choice. We have to go to one place. And that's a dilemma, which one to go, right? So dilemma is you have options, you have choices, right? And it's not easy to make a decision. Right? I give another example, and this example is more serious, and that is I violate. This happened to me. This happened to me many years ago. I violated. I was driving a car and I was over speeding, and the police caught me. I was over speeding, the police caught me, and the police gave me two choices. Either you don't drive for 1 month and surrender your driver's license for 1 month, or you go for training for 1 month. Or not, for training. And training was in Japanese. and I don't know Japan many years ago. I'm okay now. I drive very carefully now. But many years ago, when I first came to Japan, I was very young and very excited, and I was driving fast, and the police caught me. I said, "Oh my God!" And the police gave me two options. Either you stop driving for 1 month and surrender your license, or you go and attend a training program in Japanese and pass it. So I was like, now so option A is bad. If I give my driver's license for 1 month, I don't drive, no good. Option B, I can go to training, I can take it, I can try to take the test, but Japanese is a problem, I may not pass. So I have to make choice. And this is bad dilemma. This is not Indian restaurant or Italian restaurant. So that's what dilemma is. You may be wondering what I did, right? So I surrendered my license. That was a kind of safer way for me to do it. So dilemma is making choices. Okay, and culture is like a dilemma. And so I am giving you, this is a very, very popular book in cross-cultural communication. You are later on, I think there is a translation of this book in Japanese also. So you can read it in Japanese. Very nice book. I encourage you to read it. And I'm going to introduce something from here. So this book describes culture as this. Culture is the way in which a group of people, culture is always a group of people, solves problems and reconciles dilemmas. Reconcile means find solution to dilemmas, make choices. And so what are these dilemmas? These dilemmas are called cultural dimensions. There are 7 cultural dimensions. Every culture faces these 7 dilemmas. And I'm going to introduce something, and so these dilemmas, these dimensions, before I introduce the dimensions, let me show you something. Culture, every culture has a dilemma between self and others. Your own self and your relationship with other people. Another important point is environment. Environment could be physical environment, nature, or environment could also be social environment. Social environment means like in some country, you may have like political environment could be like democracy, or more like some cultures are not democracy, but some other kind of system. That's also part of environment. So environment could be natural, environment could be social. And then space and time. Time is a cultural thing. So keep this framework in mind. And I'm just introducing you. So if it is difficult, don't feel disappointed. But what I'm introducing to you is really useful. You'll find very, very useful as you understand more about culture. So based on this, you have 7 cultural dimensions. And these 7 cultural dimensions look like this. And these words, I think, may be new to you, most of them. Maybe individualism you heard, maybe. But other words may not be, maybe new to you, but I will explain them to you. But each dimension is like a dilemma. Every culture has to choose between this or this, this or this. Could be somewhere, some culture may be here, some culture may be here, some culture may be here. It depends. But this is a dilemma. This side and this side, this side and this side, this side and this side. And cultures have to make choices. Are you okay so far, what I'm saying? You don't know what they mean. I'll explain them to you. But you understand the dilemma here, right? Dilemma, you have to either this way or this way, this way or this way. So let me go through them one by one and explain them to you. Should I explain that to you now, one by one? All right, so this one, universalist versus particularist, these have to do with rules. Rules. So culture is social, in society. We have to follow rules. And so this one, a very simple question is this: what matters more, rules or relationships? Rules. If rules matter most, you're universalist. If relationships are important, you are particularist. So don't worry about these words. Just try to become familiar with this, but this question is more important for this. Now, let me give you an example. Let me give you an example. Imagine you are my friend. And imagine you open a new restaurant. Okay? And imagine I am a journalist and I write about restaurants. As a journalist, I go to new restaurants and eat their food and evaluate and write reports. And people read my reports. And then they go to restaurant. They don't go to restaurant. They read my reports. So imagine you open a new restaurant and I'm your friend and you invite me to your restaurant and you invite me because you think I will write a positive report about your restaurant and more customers will come. So I go to your restaurant and I eat the food, but I feel your food is not so good. So what is my dilemma now? So my dilemma is, if I write a positive report about your restaurant food, then I am not writing a true report. But if I write a true report, then customers will not come. You're my friend. That's the dilemma. So then how do I decide? So let's say I have two decisions. One decision is, okay, I will write a true report. And in the report, I will say, your food is not so good. And I will not think that you're my friend. That means I follow the rules more properly, journalistic rules. That's this universalist. Rules are important. But then if I think like you're my friend, you're important to me, all right, let me write a report, not so true, but make it a little positive for you so that friends, customers can come, then I'm giving importance to relationships. So this is a very important cultural dimensions. What's more important, rules or relationships? Rules. So every culture decides. In some cultures, rules are more important. In some cultures, relationships are more important. Is that clear? Like, you know, so that's a cultural dimension. Another dimension is individualistic versus collectivist, and this one it's a little easier for you to understand. Individualist means I'll give you an example. I'll give an example. This is an example that, let's say, again, imagine you are studying in the United States. You are doing your MBA program, business program, and you have only 3 more months left to graduate. And once you graduate, you can go back to your country and do some nice job. Now, as you are trying to finish your studies, you get a letter from your uncle. And the uncle tells you that your father is very sick. Please come home. You need to take care of him. Your father is sick. So you write to your father and you ask him, Father, are you okay? Your father says, no, I'm okay. Don't worry about me so much. I'm okay. I'm a little sick. I'm okay. Finish your studies, then come back home. Then you talk to your uncle again. Your uncle tells you, no, your father is not telling you the truth. He's really sick. Please come home. You are in a dilemma now. Now, if you decide, okay, I will finish my studies first and then go home, my father will be okay, that's individualist. But if you say, okay, my father is sick now and family is important, my group is important, I must go home now, that's collectivist. So these kinds of decisions, every culture, they make it. Right? So what matters more? Team or individuals? Team here means family, group, right? Or individuals. This is another cultural dimension. Neutral versus emotional. These slides, these pictures are provided by Michael Mondejar. Very nice. Now, neutral versus emotional. This is very important cultural dimension again. The question is simple. Do we show our emotions in public space, or do we hide our emotions? I'll give an example. Emotions in public space, not private, public space. Funerals. You know funerals, right? What funerals means, like somebody dies, and then what happens? How people observe funerals and this and that. So I'll give you an example from my own experience. I've been in Japan for so many years now, and I attended 3 funerals so far. I've attended Japanese families, very close, like family friends, and people die, and I go and attended it. And one thing was very surprising for me. You know, in Japanese funeral, one moment is very important. At that moment, neighbors, friends, they come together to say goodbye to the dead person, and the family members, they come out one more time and they make speech. So one thing really surprised me, and I'll show you a picture, not real picture, but to help, I'll show you this picture. This is a picture, I just Googled it. This is a picture of Japanese funeral. And this is like film director Oshima. This is just a Google picture. And what was surprising for me was, like, the family members come out, one person makes this, probably the wife makes a speech, and you can see there's sad, people are sad, but she's not crying loudly. People are not crying loudly. Tears are not coming out loudly. And I was surprised because in Bangladesh, when somebody dies and the dead body is taken away for burial, family members cry loudly to say goodbye. Yona, you're from Kenya, right?
Yes, Professor. Yes, Professor.
And in Kenya, people,
yes, they wail loudly.
They cry loudly, right?
Yes.
Right. This is Mexican picture of Mexican funeral, right? There is singing, people hugging, crying loudly. But in Japanese funeral, I don't see people crying loudly. And so I asked, why don't people cry? And they say, crying is not good in front of others. So Japanese culture is reserved culture. Are you with me? Japanese culture. This point came up earlier today, right? Right? Japanese people are they're quiet, they don't talk much and all that. Japanese culture, they control their emotions inside. Other cultures are maybe expressive. So Mexican culture is expressive, Japanese culture is reserved. And so this one, emotions, to show emotions or not in public space, in front of others. That's the point. So I'm using Japanese and Mexican, just an example, but cultures can be emotionally expressive or emotionally reserved. And Japanese is a highly reserved culture. And that's where people may have problems from outside to understand Japanese people. So that's one dimension. Another dimension, and this is a little hard to understand, specific versus diffuse. The question is simple. Our personal life and professional life, are they separate or are they connected? And I'll give you an example. Give an example. Again, imagine that you and I are business partners. We do business together. Imagine you come from one culture, I come from another culture, but we do business together. And we are having a business meeting. And you are in my office. I'm at my desk, you are on the other side of the desk, and we're having a business talk. Suddenly my phone rings. And I pick up the phone. And it's my wife. And she asks me about dinner and other weekend activities and playing with children and all the family talk. So I talk to my wife, and you are sitting silently, and I'm having my family talk in front of you. And then I talk for about 10 minutes and you're sitting quietly, and then I put down the phone and we continue with our business talk. In this situation, my personal life and my professional life are not separate. I can do business talk, but I can do also personal talk, and it's okay. In that case, it's diffuse. Diffuse means no boundary, no clear-cut boundary, right? Now, imagine the same example, but in a different way. Now imagine, like we are business partners. You're from one culture, I'm from another culture. We're having a business talk. My phone rings. I pick it up, and it's my wife. I tell her immediately, I'm sorry, I cannot talk to you now. I'm in a business meeting. I will call you later. And I put it down, and I apologize to you for the interruption. So in this situation, my personal life and my professional life are separate. I do not mix them. If it's work, it's work. If it's home, it's home. In that case, it is specific. That's what it means. All right, so that's one dimension. This is another interesting dimension. Look at this picture carefully. Oh, sorry. Look at this picture very carefully. Again, this is Michael Mondehar provided to me. Right? Look at this cartoon. Now, this is my nephew, Skippy. He's your new boss. It's funny. He makes his nephew the boss. Relationship, family. On the other side, look at this. You have skills, abilities, knowledge. He may not have skills abilities, knowledge. But because he's the nephew, this is what you call ascription. But so I'll give an example. In Japanese culture, in Japan, if I understand it correctly, if you go to very well-known universities, you can get good jobs. Am I right? Not so much your skills or abilities or this or that, but the name of the university matters. So in some cultures, if you come from a very good family, very well-known family, you can get good jobs. But in some cultures, like America, other American cultures, other cultures, it doesn't matter where you come from, which university you went to, name, but whether you have the skills or abilities not. That's more important. So that's achievement. Achievement is your own skills, abilities, knowledge. That's important in the culture. Not your connections, not your relationships. So that's, do we prove ourselves to get status? If you have to prove your abilities, skills, then you get status. It's not given to you. So even if you're born in a very popular family, rich family, doesn't matter. So that's another dimension. Time. Time is very, very, very important dimension also. Sequential time means, look at the question. Do one thing at a time, or do many things at once. One thing at a time, or many things at once. So one thing at a time is sequential. Many things at a time is synchronous. So let me give you the same example again. The business, like you're my business partner. And we are talking. And my wife calls. And I talk to my wife. Family talk. This is doing two things at the same time. That's synchronous. But in the same example, imagine my wife calls again. I pick up the phone and I say, I cannot talk to you now. That is one thing at a time. If I'm business meeting, only business meeting, and that's your sequential time. So then this one has to do with nature, our relationship with nature. And if we feel that we control nature, so this is man versus nature. Do we control environment, or are we controlled by it? In Japan, Japanese mind is, if I ask Japanese people, do you control nature? Japanese people will say, no, we don't control nature. Why? Because Japan is a country of earthquakes, natural disasters. You cannot control them. You have to live with them. Americans are famous for saying, We control everything. But then you also have some other cultures where they feel they're completely controlled by it. But then in the middle, Japan is in the middle. Japan is like coexist with nature. Japan is a beautiful country. Beautiful. Peaceful with nature. But Japan also is a very scary country. Disasters and all that. And so instead of controlling nature, Japan has developed the ability to recover, manage, recover. And that's why Japanese are at the world top for rescue and relief efforts, technology, this and that, right? So this is like coexisting with nature. Both are examples of coexisting with nature. Beautiful example and not so beautiful example. So that's basically it. Let me go back again quickly and draw your attention to this. So these are 7 cultural dimensions. And as you can see, these dimensions have to do with relationship with others, relationship with the environment, how to manage space, how to manage time. I'm just going forward quickly. And I'll be giving you a PDF file. Kobayashi-san will give it to you too. You can read about it more. You can read again and again and again, and that will make you understand this. So it probably is pretty challenging right now to understand the idea, but I always introduce it to university students. I will not introduce it to high school students, but you are university students. And at this level, it's a challenge, but it's something that you are ready for to understand this part of culture. Okay. Any questions so far? Anybody about this part?
Professor, can I ask one
Yeah.
question?
Yeah.
So what we discussed up to now is there are, there are always 2 poles in your behaviors, right? One is
Right.
right or one is left. And
Right.
so is it necessary that we need to build a perception towards any of these behaviors that we should be this way, or is it okay that we are okay with whatever qualities or whatever behaviors we have?
Yeah. So it's not, it should not be this way or that way, but cultures are this way or that way, right? So what happens is, like, let's say, for example, this one, right? You come from a culture where rules are more important than relationships. But then you go to a culture where relationships are more important, and that's where there may be some confusion, some challenges, right? But in some cultures, rules are more important. In some cultures, relationships are more important, right? So I'll give you a simple example, like if you are, imagine that you are a professional, you are at a top position in your organization or company, and you're hiring people. So in some cultures, you hire based on relationships, people you know. And if you know people, you can trust. But some cultures, That's not important. In some cultures, you give importance to skills, abilities, like you follow the rules, like experience, this and that. It doesn't matter whether you know people or not. So these are different orientations. And you have to make a choice. A culture has to make a choice between this side or this side. It could also be mixture. It depends. But the important thing is, these are the 7 cultural dimensions that are operating. Okay?
Yeah. Yes, Professor. Thank you.
University participants, any questions? All right, Yukoto, you all right?
Okay.
All right, so I just wanted to introduce this to you, and you will think more about it. And this may help you a little bit in your presentations in the program. You may want to use some ideas from here in your presentations. Just try it, and you will find it useful. Right. All right, then let's continue then. And I'm looking at the time, and it's okay. So this is the last part. Cross-cultural anecdotes. The word anecdote. Have you heard the word anecdote? Please raise your hand, participants. Anybody? Okay. Anna, do you know the word anecdote?
No.
No? Okay, that's okay. Mirai, do you know the word anecdote?
No.
Okay, that's okay. And anecdote simply means stories. Story. See this? People are here, the kids are sitting, people are sitting, some old man is saying stories to others, anecdotes at fireplace. So cross-cultural anecdotes can be a very interesting way to learn to develop cross-cultural sensitivity. Now, in these cross-cultural anecdotes, there is some kind of something happens, incident, something happens, some misunderstanding can happen. So I'll show you a story, one anecdote, and this is the anecdote. These anecdotes again were provided by Michael. So Michael has been pretty good about in these things. And that is, take a look, read it. So anecdote, I mean, you can also write a short anecdote based on your cross-cultural experience. But what happens is you just describe, and then the ending is some confusion. So when this is from Yuka, Japan, she submitted it. Yuka was a participant in the program here in the past. I think so. I'm not sure. I think so. This is Michael would know better. So I was visiting a friend in South Korea. She's Japanese, South Korea. When I went to his house, I took off my shoes at Genkan and placed them like we normally do in Japan, toes facing the door. My friend, so this is what she did. This is the behavior. This is the behavior. She took off the shoes, toes facing the door. My friend gave me a puzzled expression, knelt down, and then turned my shoes around, toes facing the inside. And then, right? So it was so embarrassing to me. She felt really uncomfortable. So the question is, why did Yuka feel embarrassed? And why did Yuka's South Korean friend turn her shoes around, toes facing the inside of the house? Anybody? So this is typically like, this is what she did South Korea, and this is Japan. Am I right? Right? I mean, both have Genkan area, take off shoes, but in South Korea, do it this way, but in Japan, don't do it this way. In Japan, do it this way, but in South Korea, people find it. So anybody? Maybe some participants know what happened. You're all from Japan. What happened? Mira, you're smiling. Maybe you know something? Huh?
No,
No?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Yes.
Hannah, you're also smiling? I'm looking at your faces. Hannah, do you know something?
No, but maybe different culture because of difference of culture.
Yeah.
I don't know South Korea's shoes culture, but in Japan,
Yeah.
in Japan, toes facing the door is manner in Japan. Manner.
This one, right? Yeah.
So, I don't know. Sorry.
Right. So, yeah. So in South Korea, if you put your shoes like this in South Korea, then the host feels that you don't want to stay in the house, you want to go away. So you want to go away quickly, right? And that's why it's kind of rude. In South Korea, this is rude. In Japan, this is taboo in Japan. This is taboo in South Korea. Right? So it's like, so if you put, if the shoes are out, then you, as a visitor, you're saying like, I want to go quickly, leave the house quickly. And so hosts feel uncomfortable. So that's the idea. Now, taking off shoes, right? So you could use these kinds of reasons here, use this kind of language. This is, you remember from the taboo part. So when you say it could be because of this, it could be because of that, nice language. Try to use it in your discussions or presentations tomorrow, day after tomorrow. So why do Japanese take off their shoes when entering their house? What does Genkan refer to in a Japanese house? What is its significance? Genkan area. This area is culturally very significant in Japan. In Japanese language, there are two words. Help me here. Soto is outside, right? Am I right? Soto. And uchi means inside, right? And in Japanese culture, uchi and soto separation is very important. And genkan is in the middle between outside and inside. Inside is clean, outside is dirty. Genkan is in the middle. Culturally so beautiful. All right, so this is an anecdote, and this is in South Korea, no, Japanese style. So this is the Genkan area, and this level here. This is where the inside begins, clean, no shoes. There's another way to look at it. This is outside, this is inside, and this is in the middle. This is America. How do you feel? This is America. And they don't feel it's dirty at all. And it's not dirty, it's clean, but just the idea. So would you do like this in your home here in Japan? No, you won't do it, right? Right. I wouldn't do it either. Right. All right, so let's do something for the remaining period of the time we have. Group discussion, breakout room, and you have 6 groups, and I'm going to assign to each group one anecdote. You can talk about it quickly, and this is how it will be. The cultural anecdotes 2, 3, and 4. So group number 1 and 2 look at anecdote 2. I'll show it to you. Group number 1 and 2, anecdote 2. Group number 3 and 4, anecdote 3. And group number 5 and 6, anecdote 4. You will discuss the anecdote in your group, and then if you can think about any cultural dimension, what happened, what is the issue here, and then come back, and one member can make a short presentation very quickly. And I'm looking at the time. I will give you just about 5 minutes to talk about it. Now, here are the anecdotes. This is for group number 1 and 2. Take a look. Please read it. Group number 1 and 2, read it very carefully. Mark, he's from England. He was visiting girlfriend's family in Italy. Parents greeted. Then his girlfriend's father came up to me and gave me a big hug. A big hug. After that, he kissed me on both cheeks. Remember, Mark is a man. Girlfriend's father is a man. And he felt very embarrassed about it. What happened? How can you explain the cultural difference? All right, next anecdote is group number 3 and 4. Take a look. IJ facilitator, please remember this. This is the classroom setting. Mohammed is from Saudi Arabia. He's studying in Australia. In the class, student raised, interrupt the teacher, ask a question. She disagreed, the student disagreed, and the two argued. And Mohammed was very confused. All right. This is anecdote number 4. Remember Jack. This is for group 5 and 6. Jack, United States. Please read it carefully. So Jack is a Nepalese friend visiting him in the States, his birthday. So he took his friend to the nicest restaurant, ordered a steak, which is beef, but I was shocked when my friend ordered chicken. When I asked him why he didn't order a steak, he just smiled politely and said nothing. Jack was annoyed. Okay, so I'll stop the screen share. And so I'm looking at the time. So just to simplify it, just discuss it for 5 minutes, come back, and then we'll wrap it up. I'll ask for a comment, and then we'll wrap up the session. Right. So Kobayashi-san.
Yes.
Just
now, yes, we can
5
start
minutes.
now. Yes,
5
5
minutes.
minutes. Okay, so
Yeah. Remember, only your anecdote, not all the anecdotes, only your anecdote for your group. All right. All right, so we have about 10 minutes left. Let me just share the screen and then we will go through them. There we go. All right. And then, okay.
Hinduism.
Okay. All right, so how about this one, group, just very quickly, we don't have time, just a couple of minutes. Group number 1 and 2, anybody would like to just make a comment quickly? Participant, group number 1 and 2, participant. Just one participant, volunteer, who would like to do it? We have Miyu, Minori, Hidemi, Koshi, Mikiko, Mirai. Anybody else? Quickly, go ahead. Raise your hand. Who would like to talk?
Okay, can I try?
Sure. Who is this?
It's Miu.
Okay, go ahead. Sure, Miu. Try, yeah.
Okay, so in this anecdote, I think there is big cultural difference and their difference of their personalities, you know. So the Italian people seem to be really open to people, even if they're, you know, they meet people for the first time. So that's why they give a big hug and a big kiss.
Right.
But on the other hand, the British people are not so open, like they are reserved like Japanese people.
Right.
So they don't have a habit of like greeting, like giving a hug.
Yeah.
So that's why Mark got confused about that. Yeah.
Very nicely put. Very, very nicely put. Nicely explained. Yeah. So the let me add something. So the culture, touch, non-touch is a very important thing, cultural thing. Italians are, as you said, Italians are very expressive verbally, physically. And Italian greeting is like hugging and kissing on the cheeks kind of thing, right? That's Italian. British people are reserved. That's true. Let's be reserved, right? If and so physically, like they don't like being touched or something. Shaking hands is okay, or right. So that's what happened. So Italians a very expressive culture, British reserved culture. Not as reserved as Japanese. Maybe Japanese are more reserved in some other ways. Japanese greeting is no touch. It's like distance and bow, that kind of thing. But Japanese people are okay with shaking hands, but maybe hugging and kissing probably too much. That's what happens. Wonderfully explained. Thank you. Thank you. All right, let's go to, this is group number 3 and 4, and we have Nana, Yuna, Hana, and Nanaya, Kanako, Manaka. Somebody very quickly. You don't have much time. Very quickly, who would like to share a thought? Go ahead.
Can I do it?
Sure. Nana, go ahead.
Yeah. I think the most differences are the way to respect the older people. Like in Australia, I feel like the disagree is like one of the way to respect others, like tell the truth or the feeling. But like contrastly, like Saudi Arabia people, like the way to respect is just like accept their feeling or their idea. So yeah,
Very
I
nice.
feel like
Yeah,
that is
yeah,
the
yeah. Very nice.
yeah
Right,
difference.
right. Again, let me just add, you nicely explained it. The cultural dimension here is like cultures can be hierarchical, right? So Saudi Arabia is a very hierarchical culture. Teacher knows everything. Teacher cannot be questioned. And whatever the teacher tells you, accepted. Not only in Saudi Arabia, even in Japan, many Asian cultures and all that, but Australia, Western cultures are, there's a more a sense of equality. A teacher knows more than the students, sure, but the students, teachers kind of encourage students to talk, to debate, to disagree. So the teacher did not feel disrespected in Australia. So this is what happened, and this can happen in other cultures, but this is a very important dimension we're talking about, right? Wonderful. Okay, so the cultural dimension here is like individualism versus collectivism. Individualism is like you have the freedom to express your thoughts, right? Okay, all right. So, and this is group 5 and 6, and we have Nonoka, Kokona, Mion, Yukuto, Yumi. Somebody quickly, just one member, any volunteer who would like to share a thought?
I tried.
Okay, go ahead. Sure.
His Nepal friend is Hinduism, so he can't eat steak. But Jack didn't know that
Right.
about it, so he was annoyed.
Right. And let me also add that the friend in Nepal, again, this is reserved culture. They don't express their feelings openly and this and that. And so maybe the friend in Nepal did not want to embarrass Jack, right? And all that. So he was very quiet and reserved and didn't say it. Jack, on the other hand, comes from a culture where people are direct. They say everything. So that's what's happening here. Wonderfully done. Okay, so let me just wrap up. Just five minutes left, and I'm sure other had nice thoughts. You had some nice discussions, and so again, cross-cultural sensitivity. We need understanding of this aspect of culture. We talked about it a lot. Culture is visible and invisible, but the invisible part is deep culture, and that's what we need to highlight. And in your program here, in your presentations will be cross-cultural presentations, and some of the ideas you have learned here, you'll find them useful as you go ahead. And then in a more at an advanced, so this was the basic level. At the advanced level, this is what you got introduced to, and it's a little bit challenging, but you're beginning to get some ideas here. So Kobayashi-san will give you an article about this. You can read it again, and that gives you some nice details, more practical details. And later on, if you have time, you can read the book. And I'm going to send a PDF file to Kobayashi-san about the PowerPoint slides that will be given to you when you come tomorrow. So you'll get two files, two PDF files, one your slides and the other one an article on this one. Okay, so we have 2 minutes left. I'm going to just stop screen share. And I always like to end the sessions with a question, at least one question from a participant. Does anyone have a question? Go ahead and ask it. And that's the best way to end the session. Any question? Looks like you don't have any question now. IEJ facilitators, any question, any comment, anything?
Professor, thank you so much. Would you mind sharing something regarding the role of technology in cultural differences, like Zoom or some platform which we are using during our communication or something?
Technology.
Yeah.
I mean, technology has a tremendous cultural implication. I'm just quickly reminded of the example of the Shinkansen platform station, for example, right? How technology is operating there, and in terms of efficiency, in terms of punctuality and system and all those things, technology in Japan, technology is helping that. In terms of disaster management also. So the certain cultural consequences of technology can be seen, right? So I'm just curious, like when you ask this question, I'm sure you have some idea in your mind. Do you want to share that?
I think technology will reduce or minimize the risks of like cultural sensitivity based on the anecdote one. If there is like a kind of communication between UK boyfriend to the Italian girlfriend's father, there will be no chance of like physical contact, and then it will reduce the like confusion or surprise that he faced during his visit in Italy. That means sometimes it reduce or minimize the risks of like cultural conflict or something.
Right. It's interesting you're saying like minimize. Could you elaborate that a little bit in your mind? Like how, when you say that minimize and all that, what do you have in mind?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, in some culture, there is like strictly physical touchness or something is strictly prohibited. However, if
Right.
they contacted each other by technology, this will automatically reduces. There is no chance of such cultural differences, or they can talk or they can share whatever they have on mind through using like social site or other platform.
Using technology, right?
Well.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. Sure. Yeah. At the same time, like, like there are technological gaps in among countries and all that. Yeah. So technology definitely facilitates cultural differences in some significant ways. Sure. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. All right, so I think it's time up. So thank you all so much, and I wish I could go and watch your presentations and join your dinner party, but I'm not able to do it. So I wish you all the best. Please enjoy your program, and please stay safe and have a good time. So thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you very much, Amedo Sensei. With your condition is not good.
Not very bad, also.
Not very bad. Yes, please take a rest after the session.
Yeah. Can I just share something? Yeah. So I'm recovering now, but because I have this kind of sessions, I feel energized. So I feel I'm getting better.
That's good. That's good.
So I'm isolated right now, but meeting people and talking is very, very healthy. Very, very healthy for me.
Okay.
Okay. Bye.
So thank you for your time, and facilitator, thank you also. I appreciate your support. So maybe today is your session is finished. So maybe tomorrow, please meet at the campus, classroom 202. Okay, thank you. じゃあ受講者の皆様、また1時に集合
Today
し
they
てく
don't
だ
have
さい。
any, Kobayashi-san, today they have sessions, right?
Yes, after
lunch, right,
after lunch, we have a socializing, but we have different facilitators.
Facilities.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
Thank
you so much. では、受講者の皆様、また1時にお集まりください。よろしくお願いいたします。
Thank you, Professor.